Hello everyone, welcome to Tuesday Talks with Abby. In this brand new series, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time, we dive into some of the most common and trickiest questions you will face in or have been asked in software and IT industry interviews. I will be picking a question each week, breaking it down, and giving you clear step-by-step explanations so you are more than ready to tackle them in the real world. I will also discuss the follow-up questions based on the main interview question. Whether you are gearing up for your first job interview, switching roles, or just want to brush up your skills, this is the place for you. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's get ready to ace those interview questions together. The question which we are going to discuss today is from C# and which has been asked by MAANG. This question is related to data types in C#. The question is, what are the value types and reference types in C#? How do they behave when they pass to a method? So we are going to explain the answer to these questions. We will see everything in theory and then we go to see those in action in practicals. It is very important to understand what is the intention of the company to ask such questions. What is their expectation from the candidate? So by asking this question, they want to know if you truly understand how memory works in .NET. So you should be knowing that the working of memory is quite different in .NET. Let's say if you have a C++ application, which is non-.NET application, and a .NET application, the way the memory is handled is quite different. So they wanted to understand this thing. They also want to check your understanding on debugging and bug fixing. For example, if you are going to select a data type, are you efficient enough to select and choose the correct data type for your program or not in method calls? So if you are passing any value using like say value type or reference type, they react or they behave differently. So these things they want to know from one candidate. Make sense? Let's go and build little understanding on what these two types are, value types and reference type. If you're talking about value types, they are the types which store data directly. So if I'm telling directly, there is a variable which has got an address and the data is stored right there. Okay. And secondly, this particular type of values are stored in a stack. So the memory can be specifically classified into stack and heap. So they are stored in stack. Example of such value type are in float, bool, struct, etc. When they are passed to any method, they are passed by value. I mean, exactly the value is passed. There is no question of reference out there. If you are talking about reference type, they store references instead of the actual data. In the actual data, it is stored somewhere else. I will show you in pictorial form and in detail in some moment. And specifically, they are stored in Heap. Example of reference type is class, inheritance, and delegates. And when they are passed to a method, they are passed by reference. With these two little descriptions, we have got to know what value type and reference types are. Let's go and explore the differences between these in various forms. The first field says, the first column says the features, second column about how value type we have, and the third column is how reference type we have. So the first is stored in value type is stored in a stack, reference types stored in heap. What they contain, value type contains the actual value, but reference type contains the pointer to the actual value, so the reference is stored. Default behavior, they are passed by value, a copy of the value is passed, exact value, but the reference is passed here. They are fast and efficient because they are created and destroyed right there, but they are slower due to garbage collection, because they depend on the cleaning of the heap, depending upon some component. That component is called garbage collection, and that's why little considered to be little slower. Lifetime ends with the method and block. So if you have written this in this block, the lifetime ends here. Out of this block, there is no existence. But the reference type remains live until garbage collected. Null cannot be null. If you explicitly create nullable types, then it can be null, but normally it cannot be null. But reference type can be null. Inheritance, this cannot inherit from another type, wherein reference type can support inheritance. Examples of some value type are int, double float, bool, char, struct, class, string, array, object, and delegates are the examples of reference type. Let's go and understand the same thing with this example. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create two variables, int I a equals 10. And what I'm doing is I'm going to assign value of a into b. So in memory, there is, let's say this is stack and this is heap. Let's say this is a stack and this is heap. So the thing, since it is a value type, they all will be sitting in a stack. So you can see b will be a place there in a stack which contains 10. Why? Because the value of a has got stored in b. So 10, and a also sits there in a stack. At the same time, I have a class called person which has got a field called pname. So I'm going to create an object of this class, and then I am assigning a value called Alice to this pname. And then I'm going to create another object. I'm going to assign p1 to p2. So how can you imagine this to in memory? So the references, the stack, it will be sitting, p1 and p2 will be sitting in a stack, but the addresses, they will only be holding the address, and that actual value will be sitting there in heap. So you can see if you are creating a reference type, the actual value sits here in heap. And one more thing is that they have no two copy of the data. There is a single copy of data because they both contain the reference of the same data. We will see this thing in action. So let's go and try to see everything in action. So I'm going to open Visual Studio 2022, and then we will create a project from scratch. So here I'm coming here and creating a new project. And here, console application. That's what with the C# that we'll create. Since I have created these such projects recently, that's why it is showing me in recent project templates. Otherwise, you can select it from here, going to the next, and then I can actually specify the location where the things should be there. So I'm just going to give this demo as my location, and then I'm going to say next. Here you can actually specify .NET version. So this is latest is .NET 9.0. That's what I am selecting here, and then I'm telling create. This should create a project there. You can see this project has got created. This project is a console type. This has got program.cs, which has a main function wherein we can start writing our program. I have copied the code somewhere, which I'm going to copy it here. Just to save the time, I have just copied the code out here, and let's try to understand what is this code about. I have created a class called person, which has one field called pname, which is of string type. So we can store some string value to this. Make sense? In the main function, in the main method, we are going to create a couple of things. Here we are creating a variable called a, which stores 10, and then variable called b, which stores the value in a. So ideally, if a contains 10, then b will also contain 10. And I'm going to print both of the values a and b. Then later in the next line, I'm going to change the value of b. There should not be any issue because the a contains 10, but b I have changed to 500, and we are expecting that a should be still 10 because we have not changed, and b should be 500, which looks pretty clear and which will come as our expectation. Let's see if it comes or not. The second case, which is of reference type, I'm going to create an object of called p1 of person and assigning Alice to pname. For the object 1 pname Alice. Then I'm going to create another object called p2, and in this p2 I'm going to assign the p1. We know from reference type discussions that we had recently that they will actually reference the same value with the two references. So reference is copied, not exactly copy of data is copied there, single data. And I'm going to print the value of p1 and p2. p1 pname, p2 pname, which is pretty much clear. Now, in the next line, what I'm going to do is we have changed the value of pname of p2, not of p1, but p2. So ideally, if this behaves similar to the value type, then p2.pname will be new value, but p1.pname should be Alice only. Okay. But if it is a reference type, then it should behave differently. Let's see the output and analyze it. I'm hitting this play button to run this program, and you see the output. Here, value of A has 10, so 10 and 10 printed. A value of A is also 10 and B is also 10. Here we change the value of B to 500. So you see A still shows 10, but B shows 500, which is correct. P1 is Alice and P2 is Alice also. So where it is? Right here. P1 is Alice and P2 because we assigned P1 to P2. So both are Alice. Now I'm going to change the value of P2 pname, not the P1 pname, P2 pname. So P2 pname I changed from whatever to new value. But we see the magic here of reference type. Both the values P1's pname and P2's pname both have got changed. What does it mean? By the change of one place, one value, since both are referring to the same value, both the references, and since this is a reference type, the value gets changed. And this is the basic difference which we have recently discussed. Hope this makes sense to you. Let's go and discuss how it behaves when it is passed in a method. I'm going to add another project. So add a new project, again of console type, next. And in this project, I am going to say behave into method passed. Makes sense? Let's go and create this. .NET 9.0 and create. This has got created. And just save time, let me copy the code. I think I have already copied the code, and then see the, let's try to understand the code here. We have created one class called person. Person has got again a name field, and this is, we are going to create another class called manager class. The manager class has got two methods: modify value type, in which we are passing an integer value and changing that value by 500, and then modify reference type, wherein we are passing the object of P, and then we are changing the name of that particular object value. Make sense? Here we are instantiating the class and creating an object of manager class, and then value is 100, and then we are supplying the value to modify value type. So this should actually modify the value of whatever we supply from 100 to 500. And if you see in the method call, this has got modified. But if you are outside the method call and you try to see if the value of val, the scope ends here, which we have already discussed. And since the scope ends here, the value of which you have changed to 500 will not persist. And then this value will be still 100. But now let's go and try to see in case of a person class, wherein we are having an original name, and then we are sending this to modify reference type, which will modify the name of name from original name to changed name, and we will try to print these. In order to run this, we'll right click and we say set start project, right? We have told set a start project and hit the play button. So you see here is, in case of value type, it is still is 100 as we expected because the value was 100, but the method changed the value, but after the method the value still has 100 because the scope of that changed value remained at the method body only. But if it was a reference type, the value has got, it is not original name, but this has got to change in name. This was changed in the method here. So this is how the behaves, value type behaves and reference type behaves when they are passed into a method. I hope that the concept of value type and reference type, which I have talked to you, is pretty clear to you. I will be posting such questions every Tuesday. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more high quality technical content. Drop your question in comment and I will be happy to answer them. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.